Welcome to Sports Bet Daily at Oddsmarket.com. The place is on fire. You go UFC 242 Abu Dhabi. That will be coming up later in the show. But the hottest property at the moment is Flushing Meadow US Open semi-final time. And the boys that are joining me, Snize, Mr. Andrescu, and James, they just cannot, they can do no wrong. 2 out of 2 again yesterday. Lads, how are we?
Yeah,
doing fine, well. Thank you.
Snize, we've got to start with you. How happy was you with your girl doing the business? 1 set down, came back and put on an absolute masterclass.
Obviously over the moon. Bianca Andreescu is she's just a complete package. She's absolutely incredible. Mertens was redlining her game for that first set. She was not missing anything. She was painting the lines with tennis balls. So I was initially quite worried as Bianca looked a bit lost there. But she's a master problem solver. And as she's done so many times before, she just finds a way. She came out of a clutch game at 2-2, down love 13. In the second set, and from there just went on an absolute steamroll for 10 minutes, took the second set 6-2, and there was never any doubt she was going to lose from there. Undefeated since March, perfect 12-0 now in deciding sets since that time, including 5 against top 10 opponents, unbeatable in the deciding set, and she even covered the spread for us. And 13, whilst cashing our quarter tickets. So fantastic day yesterday.
It's nice. She's 13-3 in 3-set matches as well. So the only time she's lost in them like 3 is when she's actually won the first set herself. But when she's lost the first set and gone to 3 sets, she's just been unbelievable. James, how impressed was 19-year-old this girl? And yet I saw obviously all of it. But the one shot that really just sticks in my mind is Mertens comes along, hits it, and she just floats this lob over her, and you knew, and it was like 2 yards in. It was like, wow, what a time to play that shot.
Yeah, I mean, as Snize says, she's a master problem solver. I remember Whale Kappa made the point that until she's proven it at a slam level, then he'll be a little bit more skeptical, and I think she has done that here. I mean, not that there was a massive doubt that she would do that, but, she's just been phenomenal this week. Phenomenal for pretty much the whole year since she's come back, especially obviously as Snize says, perfect record. So just absolutely can't do better than that.
Okay, well, I'll leave you a little bit of time to think about it. We're going to start with the men. Medvedev 1.55, Grigor Dimitrov 2.5. Tight affair this, lads. You go with me, Snize.
So this is the match that I have previewed, and we'll have an article up on Oddsmarket.com later this evening. And it's quite an interesting one. Daniil Medvedev has kept defying the laws of physics, according to some people, like what a human body is capable of. This was the 21st match that the Russian has played in the last 35 days. He's been absolutely gone on a packed schedule. He has looked physically hampered the entire tournament. But it hasn't mattered. He's just found a way to win every single match. He's only 23 years old, but already his problem-solving mobility is incredible. His plan A is actually to play a really dogged defensive brand of tennis, which is a bit concerning, or not concerning, it's surprising, as he's almost 2 meters tall and has a thunderous serve, but he plays like a wall from the back of the court. He came through in Ilverenka in the first set. He made 21 unforced errors, 9 were double faults, and got a bit lucky there to actually win the set, but he was disrupting the Swiss' rhythm excellently. He'll have 2 days off now after that 3-1 victory to prepare for this one, and Grigor Dimitrov, wow, we were counting on him to go down quite easily to Roger Federer, but one of the upsets of the tournament, he was priced at 12 to win that match. Played some really, really great tennis, the best I've seen from him for about 2 years now, to make a third major semifinal. We should note that Federer was injured, had a back injury, which did hamper him in the matchup, but still very, very impressive from Grigor. So in this match, I think this match only goes one of 2 ways here. Either Medvedev is not fit enough to compete, or he is. And if he is, I think he's absolutely dominant in this matchup. He's a whopping 301 points ahead in the ELO ratings, 11.7% better in the yearly whole break ratings. Even if we look at career numbers, as Dimitrov is a former world number 3, he still leads the whole break to 107.7% to 103.9%. Matchup-wise, Dimitrov doesn't have the serve that Medvedev has. He'll have trouble hitting through him from the back of the court. The head-to-head matchup is 1 apiece, and both matches played in 2017 when Dimitrov was world number 11. Medvedev beat him in straight sets in Washington on hard court, only hard court meeting, 6-4, 6-2. Needless to say, he's improved by leaps and bounds there. So I think he's not fit, and if he isn't, he'll probably lose or retire. He may well retire, as he's talked about even in some of his matches. But I think he's fit. He's had 2 days off. He's 24 years old. He's found a way to recover. And I think he's going to win with quite a bit to spare if he is fit. So I've actually gone ahead and gone with an aggressive handicap here, -5.5 games, and that pays 2.70 with Unibet.
James, do you find an angle on this game?
Yeah, so I find it really hard to find value in the match odds. I took Medvedev against Stan last round purely because Medvedev drifted from evens out to 2.25. But even then, I was feeling quite uncomfortable about the fatigue elements. Really hard to call. Certainly wouldn't want to bet against him right now personally. There's just so much momentum going his way. So I actually went with what was essentially a standout price, which is under the 9.5 games. In the first set of that match at 2.75. Also with Unibet, I think Betfair have 2.62, and the average price is 2.25. If you crunch the numbers, I can't remember the exact numbers right now, but I've done an article for this, which is up on Oddsmarket. And if you crunch the numbers, basically you're looking at 2.25. That is the price that it should be based on a lot of different factors. So at 2.75, you're getting huge value there.
So under 9.5 games in the first set. So who would you expect to come out the traps first? If there was first set betting, would you go with Medvedev?
So I think, as Snize says, it's going to go one of two ways. If Medvedev is fit, or if he's at least able to execute his game plan, he may not be, I don't think he's going to feel 100%, but he may well come out feeling like, you know what, I'm going to win this in 3. I'm just going to go all guns blazing. And if he does that, he could easily destroy Dimitrov if he's able to keep it up, because that is, when he does that, he's dangerous, and he's been demolishing opponents for fun playing that style of tennis fairly recently. And you can see that as he gets more tired, the coaches are clearly saying to him, look, you can't be engaging in the long rallies on the whole. I mean, he did it more than I thought he would against Wawrinka, but he's clearly shortening his game. He's shortening the points, really trying to punch through. So if he comes out firing and he's physically fit enough, then definitely Medvedev. But if not, we could see him spraying errors everywhere. We could see Dimitrov stepping up, taking advantage. Dimitrov, Snize is right in pointing out that Dimitrov's longer-term stats are not great, but the way he's played this week is difficult to quantify. I would expect him to play pretty well, I think, in this match. So if Medvedev comes out and he's not on his 100% form, Dimitrov's probably going to be able to take advantage. So yeah, it very much depends on the fitness element.
Yeah, and maybe have a little look, fingers on buttons, have a look to see who wins the toss, who receives, who wants to serve first. Because if Medvedev wants to serve first, then that's 6-3. Under 9.5 games means just the one break on his way. And obviously, if he's going to be starting to fire the guns, then Medvedev first set and under 9.5 could well be a combination. Let's go to the next one. It's going to be a simple one, but where do you find value in Rafa Nadal 104 against Berrettini at 11?
Is that me or Snize?
Well, everyone, you stepped up. James, fire away. Okay.
This is, again, it's the kind of matchup where I need to check myself from being too hopeful. I think in reality on the day, there's no value in either of them really for me. I would really like to think that Berrettini is going to be able in the next few years to use his heavy-hitting, powerful game to really threaten these top guys. We've seen players do it to Nadal before. I mean, Querrey comes to mind at Acapulco a couple of years ago. It's the kind of situation that's unlikely to happen because Berrettini would really have to be able to paint the lines. He really would have to serve the best he's probably ever served. And we saw at Wimbledon this year, he had a phenomenal grass season coming into Wimbledon, and then he was very tame against Federer. So it could be that he's still yet to be accustomed to playing the elite. He's got clear weaknesses. His backhand is weak. His movement is not, weak comparatively. His movement is not amazing. And I would say he's not really a player who figures stuff out that much. He really has one very good style of game, which is the heavy-hitting power play. And if that doesn't work, he tends not to do that well. So for me, this is the kind of matchup where I would really want to think that Berrettini is going to be able to push Nadal, but I just think his backhand's going to be too much of a weakness. I wouldn't want to gamble on his nerves being good enough in this one. So I stayed clear overall of this match.
Snize, I look at this matchup and I think games total under, if it's realistic. I'm looking at maybe 30, and the handicap, what are they going to give? What's Nadal going to have to give up here? Maybe 6.5, 7?
Yeah, so this match, I think that James touched upon some key points there. I think just that this is a very tough matchup for Matteo Berrettini. He obviously is playing extremely well here to make the run of his life, first major semifinal. And if we look at the match yesterday versus Gaia Monfils, it was a tough outing initially. He struggled really, really badly with the entire, the occasion, playing first match on Arthur Ashe, 23,000 fans, largest tennis arena in the world, biggest match of his life, and that showed. He was an absolute error machine in that first set, sprayed unforced errors everywhere, couldn't find his serve, and Monfils ran away with it 6-3. I think we're in for a similar kind of start to the match in this one. We saw him get absolutely obliterated in his first matchup with versus one of the big three, Roger Federer at Wimbledon. He lost that first set. I think it was either 6-1 or 6-0. 6-1 the first set. In that match, he's going to face another of the big three for the first time here, Rafael Nadal. As James pointed out, that backhand, he does have a really powerful serve, a really powerful forehand, but that backhand is a weakness. Nadal's top spin, loopy forehands will find their way onto that backhand and really coax these short balls that he'll be able to step in and attack either straight or cross court. I think that Berrettini won't be able to handle the occasion as well as he needs to, because he needs to play amazingly from the get-go to be able to stay competitive in this match. And we haven't really seen that historically from Berrettini in big matches. So I think that he will be nervous. He won't settle too quickly. I think that Nadal runs away with the first set, and I've bet the under 9.5 games in set one at 1.66 with Unibet.
What is the total games market, Snize? And what sort of handicap has Rafa got to give up?
It's 30.5 right now, and Rafa's sitting at -7.5 on the handicap. And just on this principle, that I think that Berrettini is still going to get smoked in the first set. He may well fight back to take one set, but it's extremely tough to look past him. That coming in fatigued as well off a 5-setter to be able to contend with Nadal in his first ever meeting against him. He usually takes people quite a while to figure out the big three and how to defeat them. And usually when we see these young players come at them, they have to experience a loss first before they figure out, okay, so this is what I need to do to have a chance, because it's just so hard to game plan for them. So I think that the under 30.5 and the Nadal -7.5 are both viable. I'd say I'd prefer the handicap because Berrettini can serve himself to a set, and Nadal has looked a bit vulnerable. He lost the set. He struggled badly in the humidity, and we will have humid conditions again here for this match. So I'd say handicap Nadal, and the first set under is my recommendation there.
Okay, one word answer, Snize. Rafa, does he win it? Snize.
Yes, I think he does.
He wins. Okay, James. No one beats him, do they?
Yeah, I mean, it's quicker, yes, for me, really. I would really hope Medvedev, but he's just too tired. I can't see it.
Okay, let's move on to the women's. This is where the boys have been having all their success. 2 live chances, but they play against each other. But first of all, my selection, for what it's worth, remember. Alina Svitolina, 3.1 versus Serena Williams, 1.36. Come on, the blonde bombshell. James, take me away.
Yeah, so this is the kind of matchup where I really want to get on board with Svitolina. I think if Serena had played a bit worse this week, I probably would have taken a punt there because I think she will give her a good match. I'm just looking now. She is actually drifting. She opened at closer to 3.25. You can now get her closer to 3.65. So, I can't fault someone on taking a price that's drifting. That usually gives you a nice margin for error. But yeah, really with this matchup, the key thing for me is always going to be how well is Serena playing, how likely is she to be very dominant, how likely is she to be wobbly. And you never know, she can always give her wobbly performances out of nowhere, or Svitolina can, of course, always play, top 10 players, she can always play excellent tennis on the day and really take it away from her. But I feel like the way Serena's been playing is a little bit too dominant for me to want to oppose her this week.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that might play into Svitolina's hands because she likes to hit the ball so hard. So the pace that coming off of Serena's racket, and by the way, Serena is absolutely creaming like 98% of every single shot. She knows that this is it now. She wins this, she gets into that final, and another step closer to the big major milestone that she's going for. Snize, can we get Serena beat here?
I think we can. And this is a matchup that I have looked out for since the outset of the tournament. To begin with, in my brackets, in my breakdowns of this draw, Serena Williams is not in the final for me. I've expected her to go down at this stage in the semifinals. I thought it would be Madison Keys who would be able to take her down, but it is instead her opponent, Elina Svitolina, that will now be presented with the opportunity. And I think this inherently is a really bad matchup for Serena. The blueprint for defeating Serena Williams is really just been shown to us now by the likes of Angelique Kerber and Simona Halep, and that is to play excellent counter-punching tennis, to force her to move and move and move and move and hit another ball until she misses, until the errors come. And we've seen that both from Halep in the Wimbledon final and Kerber in the Wimbledon final in the years past. And Svitolina, she has fantastic counterpunching abilities herself. She gets to almost any ball. And she's looked incredible this fortnight. She's just playing just the best I've seen in a long time since Wimbledon, really. I think that could be the start for something great for Svitolina. I think I've noticed is that she has covered up a weakness in her game that she's had earlier, which is the lack of power on serve. But she's added some extra power to her serve this week, and she's actually been holding with a lot more ease than we usually see her, and that will be key against Serena. And she's also developed her offensive game a bit more. And I see this price just drifting. Obviously, the US Open means that a lot of casual tennis fans tune in. They see the hype, they see the GOAT, they see Serena Williams at a short price, got to smack her in the NACA in every imaginable bet because there's no way she loses, right? I definitely think that she is in a bit of a pickle here. Just looking at the stats, she leads whole break stats by 10%, but that's only because her serve is so dominant. Svitolina actually breaks at a higher rate. Looking at the hardcourt ELO, it's actually Svitolina that has a slight edge. And I would actually be very aggressive and say this is about a 40-60 matchup for me. And I was very surprised to be able to see the price we can see right now, which is 3.65 on Svitolina. That is absolutely way too high, and I'm betting her money line here.
Well, that's what I was going to say. 3.65 for a matchup that's probably a 40-60, 60-40, whichever way you want to look at it. At some stage, if Svitolina gets that first set, you can hedge. You can have a free run, free ride. Whereas on the other side of the fence, you go with Serena, you've got nowhere to go. You're locked in and you hope that she produces. So for me, I've been with Svitolina all the way along. I didn't bet because obviously we're going to go on and talk about why I didn't bet. We'll stay with you, Snize. Bianca Andreescu, futures bet prior. Now she's in the semi-final. Do you hedge against Belinda Bencic?
So, I mean, it actually depends. If you've been following along with the show here, you should be sitting with Andreescu to win. And if you follow me on Twitter, I actually added, apart from what I've given out on the show, I actually have a ticket on Bencic to win outright as well. So really, this is a dream scenario for me as I have two outrights in a semifinal. One of them will be in the final. As for the matchup itself, I just don't think you can go against Andreescu right now. She is undefeated since March. I have to repeat, the undefeated in completed matches. No one has beaten her. not even Serena Williams, who looked to be losing that final before she had to retire with back spasms. And it's just, as I've said, as I've been raving and raving and raving, she is a unique type of player. She is complete. She has it all. The especially impressive part is her problem-solving ability and her mental fortitude. She's only 19 years of age, yet she plays better in pressure moments than most veterans on tour. And that is just so huge here. Belinda Bencic, on the other hand, fantastic counterpuncher. Has a great game, really looks fit and interested in playing tennis. She's had some motivational issues in the past. But the key for me in this matchup is just the way the nerves jangle out. This will be a very close matchup, and Belinda Bencic was really affected by nerves in her match last match against having a brain lapse here.
Oh, Dokic?
Yeah, against Vekic, and obviously, I think this will be a very close match. Really, both women have been serving well. It'll take quite a lot for anyone to beat the other. So I think that this will be a long match. I think this goes the distance, actually. As with many Andreescu matches at this stage. So what I've gone ahead and done here is that I've skipped the 21.5 games lines, because I think that is very high in the WTA. Over 80% of the matches that cross this line also go the full distance, the full 3 sets. I think we're set for a 3-set affair here, and I'll bet at that at 2.38 with Unibet.
Nice one, Snize. James, Bencic, Andreescu, who comes out on top for you?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with basically everything Snize said there. I was also deliberating on the overline. In terms of who wins, I mean, the prices seem about right. It's hard to argue with Andreescu being favourite, but at the same time, Bencic is a giant killer. She's the kind of player that I also wouldn't want to be opposing her as the underdog. So it's not really a matchup where I'm jumping on either of the lines. I was also inclined by the over sets. Primarily for me, again, it's usually a price thing for me, and you can actually get over sets at 2.5 with Marathon.
Oh,
so
wow.
if people are so if people are able to get that, obviously that is a very odd price. I mean, 2.37 I think is also good, which you can get with Bet365 or Unibet. But if you can get the 2.5 with Marathon, that's just a steal. I mean, whoever wins the first set, I certainly would be happy to take 2.5 on their opponent winning the next set, assuming they're not injured or something silly like that.
Okay, and can we have a winner from you two? First of all, Snize, give me the winner of the whole thing.
Of the whole thing on the men's, I'm going to have to go ahead and say Rafa. I think Medvedev makes the final, but he has a bad matchup against Rafa, and it'll be tough for him after all these matches. On the women's side, as I've said, the entire tournament, it's Bianca Andreescu. Someone is going to have to beat her. I don't see anyone beating her if she wins the tournament.
We've mentioned her so much, I don't think it is Andreescu anymore. It's just B. We'll just call her B, eh? Bianca. That'll do. What about you, James? Is it B for you?
Is it B for me? I mean, as I say, I think Bencic or Andreescu, either one, whoever comes through that, will have a great chance against Serena. I'd have to say Andreescu is the most likely. I think the odds are right. I also think she's probably got at least as good of a chance against Serena as Bencic would, if not more of a chance. But yeah, I mean, I feel like Serena's playing very well. I mean, obviously, like I'm kind of jinxing myself here because she does do this and then has a bad match. And someone like Svitolina, as you guys have said, could very easily put that pressure on her and draw that bad performance out of her. But yeah, I mean, I'll go with B as well. Why not?
Okay, listen, lads. Good luck to you. Don't forget Svitolina. Let's hope she's in the final just to keep you interested. Work's been unbelievable so far. Let's hope you get paid handsomely for it. I know you're double-edged with Bencic and Bianca. But until next time, I'll see you soon, eh?
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, James. Cheers, Snize. You take care. Now we're going to go on. UFC 242, Abu Dhabi is the venue. We've got no Jason because of internet problems. Weather's been bad all over the world. We've got bad problems with Dave. But he's managed to find... I can see he's outside. He's outside enjoying the good life. What they do to make sure they can come and have a little chat with me. Dave, how are you, mate? I can't hear you, but can you hear me okay? Yeah, put your earphones in or turn them on. There he is.
Hold on, can you hear me now?
I'll tell you what, I can hear you, and just for the viewers and people that have just joined us, that's not a tree wearing sunglasses, all right? Because you've just blended into that tree behind you.
That's the annoying tree that blocks all the sun in my garden.
Hey, at least you got a garden, eh?
Yeah, my computer just wanted to eat a virus, so my computer's broke, playing music in the background from unknown sources. So last minute, I've got my phone and my headphones in the garden.
Listen,
so yeah.
We just have to adapt and overcome. No dangers with that. Let's crack on. UFC 242. We're off to Abu Dhabi. Paul Felder against Edson Barboza. I've put up the records as well as the odds. And here's a dog to get us underway.
Yeah, it sure is. This is a rematch which I don't think anybody really expected. But Edson Barboza, he's been sliding recently. He has been fighting some of the best in the world, but I think his slip in wins and Paul Felder's late career resurgence has now put these two back against each other, and they'll be fighting in the co-main event. One of the biggest main events of the year. I can't say it's probably the biggest co-main event. I'm not sure where the UFC were heading with this one, but either way, it's going to be a barn burner. It's been a while since we saw Paul Felder have a spark and have back-to-back wins. He has had one loss in his previous 5 fights, but we'll call that a bit of a blip. I just have faith in the Irish Dragon this time around. His aggression levels, if we go back and we watch the first fight, obviously you can take a lot when two people have already fought. The fight was around 5 years ago now, I think. And Paul Felder's, the levels of aggression that guy has been bringing to the cage recently has gone up. It's ridiculous. He switched gyms. He now trains with Rufus Sport. And I think it just brought out an evil side to him. He's a nice guy. He's a nice bloke. He does the commentary. Usually we see him at the commentary desk, at one of these events. But now he's on the other side and he's in the cage and he's facing Edson Barboza, who has some of the most lethal leg kicks in the business. But Felder did great at defending them in the first fight, and we didn't see all that many leg kicks from Barboza, which, is one of his most dangerous weapons. And the career trajectory for Barboza is just in the opposite direction of Paul Felder right now. And the momentum is on Paul Felder's side. And the first fight was very close. And the odds are 2.50, I think Felder opened. It might have even been 2.60. And to have them odds, and we look at the first fight, and it was a close decision, And we're now looking at a Paul Felder, although he's 35 years of age, he's improved since this last fight. And the switch of gyms and the momentum in the favour of Felder. I'm confident with my half unit on Felder this week. Flash. I love this play actually.
Well, it's 2.45 now, so it's actually holding up. But you know what it's like with these fights when they're like this. If you haven't got a favourite who's 1.25, 1.3, then it really is a toss of the coin. And if you're getting more than even money for a toss of the coin, then you've just got to roll with it. Okay, so that's one Wolfski. Let's go with another. Lerone Murphy, 4.2 now against Tugagov, who's 1.2. And you've gone for the Wolfski again.
Look, Flash, being English, boxing is a part of our culture. And we all know how to box. We all know how to throw down when it comes down to it. And one of the guys being overlooked on this card is a last-minute replacement called Lerone Murphy. He comes from England. He hasn't even fought in Cage Warriors, which is the biggest organisation that comes out of Great Britain. And usually, to get in the UFC, you need to go through Cage Warriors first. Well, it seems as though Leron Murphy has impressed the UFC brass more than other fighters have in the past, because last minute they've asked him to step in and face Tukagov, who has had a layoff for 3 years, and he is rolling with the champs camp. He's rolling with Khabib Nurmagomedov and the killer Russians, but I don't know where this guy's head at. We haven't saw him fight for 3 years. Obviously, is a threat. Is a huge favorite for a reason. Don't get me wrong, Flash. But watching Leron Murphy's fight tape, something just said to me, look at this guy's striker. Look how crisp this guy's hands are. And then watching Tukagov in the fight that he had for the UFC 3 years ago, he went on a little streak. I think he won 3 fights and then he lost, or 4 fights. It may have been 4 or 5 fights, and then he lost. And after that loss, we didn't see him for 3 years. Now, I'm not sure if that was, right, you've lost, now we need to make you better for the next 3 years, or if that loss was just, well, okay, I can't be asked to fight no more. I'm not sure why we haven't saw him for 3 years, but Leron right now has huge momentum. If you go and watch this guy's highlight reel, Flash, anybody that ends up on the end of one of his punches, they crumble. It's Conor McGregor-esque. It reminds me of watching Conor back in Cage Warriors when he was lighting these guys up with the left hand and they were just crumbling. Well, Leron Murphy is doing the exact same thing. He comes from England, he's 28 years old, he's a complete unknown. But if we look at UFC 2 weeks back, we cashed the biggest underdog ever. He was the second biggest underdog ever. Cashed, and no one expected him to win, but he pulled through, and I think people that are flying under the radar and you don't have much to go on, they're dangerous. And the bookie throwing down 5.00 for Leron Murphy. I would just tell you guys this, before you place a bet on this fight, just go to YouTube and search Leron Murphy, and you'll be able to get a highlight reel of his fights that he's had, and it will cover 6 or 7 of his fights. Just go and watch the striking of this guy. There's no doubt that he deserves to be fighting higher caliber of opponents. He's fought a bunch of cans, I'm not going to lie. He hasn't fought anybody with any huge name or any world killers. But when he's fighting and when he's in that cage, his striking is miles ahead of the rest. And watching Tukagov in his previous fight, you'd think the Russian with the wrestling background would probably wrestle more, but he doesn't seem to throw the constant grappling pressure that a lot of these Russians do. He's not like Khabib when he's constantly he's spamming takedown after takedown. Don't do that. In fact, Tukagov likes to strike, and in my opinion, if he strikes with Leron Murphy, it's going to be a short night for him.
There you go. What about this for a short night then? Joanne Calderwood, 2.7 against Andrea Lee, 1.45. That 1.45, that looks awfully tasty.
Yeah, you see, I do like Joanne Calderwood. I'm not gonna lie, she's one of the best strikers in that division. I think she could hold her own with most of the girls in that division. Unfortunately for her, she is fighting a wrestler, and that's Joanne's kryptonite right there. She's not going to fare well against Andrea KGB Lee's wrestling offense. Because I like Joanne, being a fan of this and, trying to separate money and being a fan, it can be really tough because I think Joanne's great, and I think she would outstrike Andrea Lee 99 fights out of 100 without a doubt. But the wrestling of Andrea is just going to be too much for Joanne. I also think, although I believe Joanne is the better striker, I think Andrea Lee she's just more accurate. She's more pinpoint in everything she does. So.
Doesn't that throw more weight, Dave? Does that not throw more weight to Andrea Lee? That I can see the turmoil you're in because you like Joanne so much, a great striker, and yet you keep falling back onto Andrea Lee.
Yeah, it's the classic wrestler versus striker matchup flash. And unfortunately, if we look through the history of the UFC, the wrestlers just fare well. Because striking, to get that knockout punch or that the flurry of strikes that's going to put someone down, it's harder to do than take someone down to the mat and hold them there and punish them. It's harder to accomplish a knockout than it is to accomplish a takedown. And when you've got someone with elite grappling, once they initiate you in the clinch and the grapple, if you've not been doing this, for decades like your opponent has, you're going to be just totally outclassed. I mean, Andrea Lee, she's a brown belt jiu-jitsu. I think she's also got a brown belt in judo. I know she has, they don't hold much weight. I know she has a bout in Muay Thai. She's the former LFA champion, former Legacy champion, and she's fighting the Scottish girl, Joanne Calderwood, who, although she's a tough girl, she has a blue belt. It's just striking at the disposal for Joanne. That's all she's going to bring is some striking, whereas Andrea Lee is the all-round fighter, and that's what you need in mixed martial arts.
Exactly. Let me put you out your misery. Let's move on. Bilal Muhammad, 1.25 against Takashi Sato at 3.75. Surely it's only one-way traffic, this.
Yeah, I love Bilal Muhammad. He's a UFC fan favorite. Active on social media more than any of the fighters. Always interacting with fans, having jokes. Other than that, he's a solid fighter and he's a decision machine. If you think a fight is going to go the distance and you feel like a fight is going to go 15 minutes and Bilal Muhammad is one of those fighters, I think you've got to take Bilal because he's just a great point fighter. I will give Takeshi Sato one thing. He has got a left hand from Hal, and that's what Bilal will need to avoid. The southpaw stance and the power left hand that Takeshi Sato has. He made his debut against Ben Saunders, and I'm not the biggest fan of Ben Saunders. I don't think it's an incredible win for your UFC debut, but he won it and he did it, convincingly. Knocked his opponent out. Take away the knockout, I think the fight was quite even. I feel like once again we've got another striker here who's going to come up against a guy who's just more well-rounded in Bilal Muhammad. If you take a look at the striking statistics and the grappling statistics, Bilal outclasses him everywhere. Other than I think Takashi lands more strikes, but other than that, it's all in favor of Bilal. I don't think Takashi is going to knock Bilal out. We've saw Bilal being rocked in the past, but you have to remember, and it's quite important to note that he is a Muslim and it was Ramadan. And look, if you're not able to eat, you have no energy, right? So your chin is obviously going to be weaker. So I'm not worried. I'm not worried for Bilal's chin. He hasn't been through Ramadan. He'll be bulked out, ready to go. He's also fighting in Abu Dhabi. He begged to fight on this card. He wanted to fight on this card. Huge Muslim following over there. So a lot of the Muslim UFC fighters are going to be, they're going to want to fight on this card, and Bilal is one of them. I love Bilal. He's the huge favourite for a reason. I think he out-grapples Takashi here. I think he clinches him up against the cage, dirty boxing, take him down, ground and pound. He'll do that for 15 minutes and probably take a decision there.
Okay, let's move on. Timu Pakalen, Ottoman Azatar. Have I got the Azatar right?
Sorry, what did you say? Yeah, Azatar. Yeah, do you know what, Flash? It's all, do you know what? Sometimes it can just be preference, how you want to say it. Someone from that part of the world can pronounce it one way. Americans can pronounce it another. And then the actual country itself will have a total different pronunciation. So, these names, sometimes you just have to go by, whatever. I take most of my pronunciations from the actual commentary team, and they're wrong a lot of the time. So, yeah, Azatar, Azita.
Okay,
however,
we've got Azatar 1.4.
This card's the worst for names, actually.
We've got Azatar 1.4, Pakalen 2.8. Split them for me.
Yeah, I'm just Azatar's going to dominate. Yeah, this is everyone needs to understand that when I do these punch and parlays, yeah, sometimes they lose, but that doesn't take away my confidence in these each week because I put these fighters here for a reason. I think Azatar will get this done inside the first round. There's nothing his opponent brings to the table. Do you know what? Three fights in a row we could break down here. It just boils down to the more well-rounded fighter, Flash.
Is he a future star, Dave? Is he a future star? He sits at 11-0 at the moment.
He has huge potential. He really does have huge potential, and the stage that is on tonight, I have no on Saturday, I have no doubt in my mind that he's going to want to put on the performance of a lifetime. He can shoot himself up in these rankings with 2 or 3 more wins. He can get himself within title contention or in the picture quite quick if he finishes his fights convincingly. And I think he's got the perfect opponent to do it against, to be honest, Flash. Yeah, I see a lot of fights on this card are here to showcase, and some of them might bite the UFC in the ass. But when you have these events like this, and the cards seem to look a bit lackluster to what it should be for a pay-per-view, you have to think, well, what are they doing here? And a lot of the time, they're showcasing people, Flash. And I think our boy Azatar is one of them guys that the UFC would like to showcase and push as a future star.
Okay, well, here's one that doesn't need to be pushed. Curtis Blades, 1.2. Shamil Abdurakhimov. I'm not saying it again. I was happy with my first attempt there. 4.1. Blades wins, doesn't he? 1.2.
Yeah, Curtis Blades, my boy. Listen, the big boys, the heavyweights, we probably won't see this one go the distance. When you got 17 to 20 stones of weight being flung around the ring times 2, yeah, the fights don't usually last long. And we have the older, more aging fighter in Shamil versus the younger, strapping Curtis Blades, who has only lost to the hardest hitter in the history of the UFC and possibly one of the hardest hitters on the planet, Francis Ngannou. Not many guys are going to get past Francis, so I cannot hate on Curtis at all for having them losses on his record.
Okay.
Yeah, younger is gonna it's athleticism here, Flash. It's just athleticism. Our boy Shamil is a strong old dude. He's a tough old boot, but yeah, Curtis is gonna stamp all over him. He's gonna out. We might not even see the grappling, but Curtis is a good wrestler, and I think that he would be able to be the dominant grappler here and maybe ground and pound. But I don't even think we'll see that. I think Curtis will come out in a similar fashion to Greg Hardy, the last heavyweight fight I remember being high on, and just starch him in the first round. Heavy hands. Someone's going to go down, and I think it will be Shamil to go down, most likely within the first couple of minutes.
Okay, moving on. Faraz Ziam against Don Madge. Ziam 2.4, Madge 1.55. Again, whenever we see the favourite over 1.5, it's a bit closer than the odds are saying.
Well, Madge, he's gone from one end of the scale to the other, Flash. He made his UFC debut against a guy called T. Edwards, who was a huge prospect. The UFC were putting all their chips behind T. Edwards. Out comes Don Madge as I think he was plus 300, like 4.00 underdog, maybe a little bit less than that. But he came out and he kicked T. Edwards' head into the crowd, and it was unbelievable. The guy is an animal. He is probably our boy Magia is probably my favorite pick on the card. Is heavily underlooked, and do you know what? I think you can still get some fairly decent odds on him. I don't have the odds in front of me, Flash. Do you? Yeah, Madge, please, people, listen to me. If you don't want to take the punch and parlay, which Madge is a part of, the UFC special. I did a UFC special this week, and then there'll be the regular punch and parlay released later today. But the UFC special, I had Khabib, and then your boy Don Madge, because I'm telling you guys, we're going to see another highlight reel finish from our boy, because this is just a huge drop in competition for him. T. Edwards was a prospect for a reason. amazing, and he still is a prospect, and he still will be a star. But Don Madge was able to get himself in them talks as well, and now it's a drop down in competition, first fight of the night. I see nothing in his opposition, Flash, nothing. So you guys, like I said, if you don't like to play parlays or you don't want to play the punch and parlay, please go and have a look at Madge and see if you can fit him in your budget somehow, because he's definitely worth a play in my opinion. I think he's a solid, probably one of my most solid picks of the card.
Okay, from the first fight to the last, Khabib, Poirier, Khabib 1.2. Poirier, I'm not even going to give you a price. I just think that Khabib is probably the best we've seen. And how long is he going to dominate for, Dave?
He's going to dominate probably until he decides to go up a weight class. I cannot see anybody in that division with wrestling skills even close enough to handle Habib, however you want to pronounce it. Nurmagomedov, he is undefeated in 27 fights for a reason. He's the champion for a reason. He is the current biggest draw that the UFC has. The people were questioning whether he was a big star or not after the Conor fight and all this stuff. Blah 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 blah. Are you crazy? There's about 30 million Russians ready to back Khabib at any time. Them guys love him. Alongside Conor, he's the biggest draw that the UFC is going to have, I think, as well as our girl Weili Zhang that won last week, because she's got China backing her. Khabib, there's no one, and Dustin Poirier is not the guy. He's not the guy to do this. Is he going
to toy with him, Dave? And does this go to distance, and it's just a masterclass?
I think this is a 25-minute beatdown. If it does end, it's going to end late. If it ends, it's going to end in the fourth or fifth, without a shadow of a doubt. We're not going to see a quick early finish here. I don't think Dustin's going to come out and starch Khabib. Like, people are worried for Khabib getting knocked out. I just don't think that's going to happen. Look, Poirier is one of the best strikers in the division. I can't take that away from him. He is crisp. He's technical. His foot movement is beautiful. He outclassed Max Holloway. It was crazy. I still can't believe it. I still can't believe it now how easily he dealt with Max Holloway on the feet. But he doesn't have that knockout power. He doesn't have that one punch clap and it's over. Poirier doesn't have that. And if you're going to beat Khabib on the feet, you're going to have to knock him out, buddy, because eventually it's just going to end up in a takedown anyway. We might see Khabib play about on the feet, because I don't think Khabib's going to be scared of Dustin striking at all. I don't think he's going to be scared of it at all. He wasn't scared of Conor's, and Conor was dropping guys in 14 seconds, you know. So,
Dave, what about the 3.25 Khabib to win on decision?
That's a great play. That's one of my plays. It's just a half unit, because whenever you're predicting the outcome and whoever wins the fight and the outcome, you know, you're making your probability of winning a lot lower. So obviously we'll stick with half a unit. But yeah, I think the price I got was 3.25 on that one, which is a beauty, plus 225. I think Khabib dominates, but I think Dustin is one of the toughest guys in the division. I think he won't get finished. I see it as if Conor can handle that wrestling to the fourth round, I think Dustin can handle that for the full 25, and he's got enough skill to avoid anything stupid like having his back taken and being choked like Conor did. We won't be seeing no neck cranks or anything like that. I think we'll see a repeat of Khabib versus Michael Johnson, really. We're going to see Khabib take him down. We're going to see Dustin try to get up. We're going to see Khabib take the risks, pound him. Dustin's going to try to get up. Khabib's going to take the wrist again, pound him, and it's going to be a loop. It's going to be a loop for 25 minutes of Khabib dominance again, and still 28 wins in a row. We'll see Khabib hopefully versus Tony Ferguson in the future, And I think that's all. I don't really have much to say, as much as everyone else does. Everyone's got these big, huge breakdowns, Flash, because it's the main event and how Dustin can do this and Dustin can do that. I just don't have it. I don't see it. Go watch Khabib and go watch Dustin. Go watch their last 8 fights and just you'll know. It's obvious.
You just said to me, Dave.
Khabib's a monster.
You just said to me, I haven't got much to say. You haven't drawn breath for 24 minutes. That's the passion that you have for this sport. That's the dedication that you're sitting in the garden wanting to put your message across. Dave, I salute you. And listen, everything you do, if you want to know more in depth of what Dave does, go and have a look at oddsmarket.com. He writes it out. You can have a look at this this snippet a bit later on. You can watch it back in depth, slow it down. Dave, good luck at the weekend, mate. I'm going to tell you on a few. Only your winners, though. And with your record, it could be every one. I'll see you soon.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
Top man. Cheers, Dave. And obviously, thanks to Jason as well. He was a bit quiet on the show today, but that was because of internet issues. Coming up, we're going to have Lower League with a big man in a couple of hours. Really looking forward to that. Found some good value in League 1 and League 2 because of the international break. And also, a little surprise, I'm going to be with Jimmy the Bag later. See you later.